And Fidel, bring the agenda up, please.
Yinka, bring the agenda, please. Thank you.
All right, I've got 11:30. Everybody ready?
Go for it.
All right. Well, first of all, good morning. Welcome to today's PFAC meeting. I think most of you know me. I'm Ron Epstein. I'm the representative of New York State DOT as well as the chair of PFAC. I first want to take this opportunity to thank everybody for really, the work that you've been doing during this public health crisis. One of the things that has become evident to, I think, a lot of individuals is that transportation not only has been, critical prior to the pandemic to supporting our economic and social sustainability, but during this crisis, our transportation systems, our transportation workers have basically assumed roles of frontline employees, whether it be distributing PPE, transporting samples, working at testing centers. All across the state, in every municipality, transportation is playing a role in the New York State's response to COVID-19. So I do want to thank everybody. It's really amazing for those of us who've been out in the field to see everybody come together and support a common effort in really what is an invisible enemy. So, again, thank you. Today's meeting is provided for by the Governor's Emergency Executive Order, number 20267, will be held virtually. That is for our health and safety. Please note for the webinar attendees that the lines will remain muted except for PFAC meetings. During the public portion of this meeting, registered participants will be unmuted individually. And you should also know that this webinar is being recorded and will be posted on NYMTC's website within the next 2 weeks for anybody who would like to review it. So let's begin today's meeting with a roll call. As I announce your agency or authority, please say whether you're present or not. New York City DOT.
Present. This is Ann McGrain representing Commissioner Polly Trottenberg of the New York City Department of Transportation.
Thank you. DCP.
Jack Schmidt, representing Marisa Lago, Chair of the Planning Commission.
Thanks, Jack. MTA.
Julia Seltzer, representing Pat Foy, MTA Chairman.
Hey, Julia. Nassau County.
Sean Sally, representing Nassau County Executive Laura Curran.
Sean. Suffolk.
Chris Chatterton, representing County Executive Steve Ballone.
Hey, Chris. Rockland.
Pat Gurdon, representing County Exec Ed Day.
Hey, Pat. Putnam.
Sandra Fusco, representing County Executive Mary Ellen Odell.
Hi, Sandra. Westchester County.
Naomi Klein, representing County Executive George Latimer.
Okay. Our friends from the FTA. FTA? Okay, we'll come back to them. Federal Highway Administration.
Gadamani, representing New York Division Administrator Rick Marquis.
Okay, got him. New Jersey Transit. Okay. NJTPA. Okay. EPA.
Hannah Greenberg, representing Regional Administrator Pete Lopez.
Thank you. Port Authority.
And Jay Sheffield, representing Executive Director Rick Cotton.
Okay. DEC. Let me go back. FTA, anybody join? New Jersey Transit. New Jersey TPA. All right. Well, at least according to my notes here, that we have a quorum. So I believe we are good to go. I think in the interest of time, I've already expressed my thanks, and it is a sincere thanks for everything that you are doing during this pandemic to keep us, moving forward. So what I'd like to do is just get into the first presentation, which will be on NYMTC's 2055 Socio-Economic and Demographic Forecast. I believe that this is going to be presented by Deb Nelson, NYMTC's project manager, Larisa Morozovskaya. I'm sorry, I'm going to get it. Morozovskaya. I'm so sorry.
All right.
Along with, Tina Lund and the consulting team from Urbanomics. And you can feel free to butcher my name any way you want. Call me Ron.
Okay.
Thank you, Ron. This is Debra Nelson. I'm an assistant director here at NYMTC, and it's my privilege to introduce to you Larisa Morozovskaya, who is the project manager for NYMTC staff, and Tina Lund, who is the project manager for Urbanomics. Collectively, they managed the collaborative effort that had the oversight of a 28-member forecasting working group. And I'll say that, throughout the process, these two women really, really exemplified patience, professionalism, and a very positive attitude. And that really helped throughout this nearly 2-year process to get us to the point where we are today, where, the forecasting working group members all were in agreement regarding this SED forecast. I also want to acknowledge and thank Christina Schmidt and Erica Mora of the New York City Department of City Planning for their efforts in developing the population forecast for New York City. And they worked collaboratively with the project team. And throughout the process, we really had a very engaged forecasting working group and very responsive, very, productive in their comments. And that really helped us to shape this forecast as you're about to see. Larisa is going to provide background and a little bit on the process, and Tina will provide and present the results. And again, I can't thank all the folks involved in this very intensive and very important effort. But with that, I'm going to hand it over to Larisa, and then she'll hand it over to Tina. Thank you so much.
Yes, hi, thank you, Debra. Good morning, everyone. My name is Larisa Morozovskaya. I know it's difficult to pronounce, but it's fine. So we are going to present to you the purpose and the usage of the SED forecast produced by NYMTC. Also talk about the geographical area for the forecast and a review of the process. Tina will provide you with more details about the outputs of 2055 SED forecast. And at the end of the presentation, we will be answering your questions or comments if needed. So as an NPO for New York Metropolitan area, NYMTC is producing forecasts to see how the economy and region will be developing in the future, and it helps us to inform transportation investment decision. We are presenting to you population and employment forecast for the region. These forecasts are developed in order to meet the requirements under the Metropolitan Transportation Planning Regulation 23 CFR. We are developing these forecasts into horizon, 30-35-year horizon, like this set of forecasts are 2017 base year, and we are presenting forecasting up to 2055. Forecasts developed by NYMTC every 4 years to be in compliance with the requirement of the region transportation plan. Those new forecasts needed for the RTP analysis. Forecasts also used by NPO member agencies for different planning purposes. These forecasts provide for long-term analysis of transportation and regional development patterns in the NYMTC region. Next slide, please. Forecasts are being used as inputs to New York Best Practices Model, NYBPM. This model is helping us to project how people are going to travel in the future, where they're going to live and work, how they're going to make the commute, and where we can expect congestion and have to alleviate the problem. And as I mentioned, the forecast is a critical element in the region transportation plan development through the modeling process. Forecasts use base for the all project level analysis, and they provide common analytical framework for the environmental and technical analysis. So why do we produce those forecasts? Forecasts shape us to find out interaction between transportation investment and development patterns. We evaluating historical trends and recent trends, and it helps us to predict future trends of growth. Forecasts assist in local regional policy development. They help local governments plan for infrastructure investment to accommodate anticipated growth, and these forecasts support policies and planning for air quality maintenance. So the forecasts are used for to forecast expected congestion, which is based on assumption concerning where people will be living and where they're going to work. But not only for those purposes. For local governments, it's important to know where people are going to live, where do we need to have enough residential units or schools for young kids and senior healthcare facilities. We also need to know of commercial and industrial development, and importantly, how the infrastructure, water, sewage capacity will be needed for the future development. This map is showing the geographical region. We are producing forecasts for the 31 county region, which consists of the New York City, Long Island, Mid-Hudson. Those are 14 counties in state of New York, 14 counties in Jersey, and 3 counties in Connecticut, 31 county region forecasts. PFAC NYMTC Council consists of the 9 voting members, which represent counties of Putnam, Rockland, Westchester, Nassau, and Suffolk. Also, New York City Department of City Planning, New York City Department of Transportation, New York State Department of Transportation, Metropolitan Transportation Authority. Additional to the voting members, there are advisory members. New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, North Jersey Transportation Planning Authority, Federal Highway Administration, Federal Transit Administration, United States Environmental Protection Agencies, and Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. We are developing forecasts under close guidance by the NYMTC Forecasting Working Group. As Debra mentioned, Forecast Working Group consists of 28 members. All of the members I just mentioned to you, part of the Forecast Working Group. Also, we have Cornell University, New Jersey Transit, Connecticut Department of Transportation, Planning Connecticut, Subregion, 3 subregions from Connecticut. So all in all, 28 members who are actively involved in the development of the forecast. And I want to thank Forecast Working Group members for their close attention and quick responses and providing comments and helping us to produce a good forecast. The process of developing forecasts consists of few steps. First, we are collecting the base year data, which is 2017 base year for this set of the forecast. Also, we are acquiring the latest available economic drivers. Those base year information and economic drivers were used as inputs to the forecasting models we had. And once we have the models, we run and we produce a draft forecast. Those forecasts also develop in the close assistance with the New York City Department of City Planning. I want to thank the city planning crew. They are part of the project team, and we work closely together on the last 2 sets of NYMTC forecasts. Once we have the draft forecast, we are presenting to the Forecast Working Group to gather the guidance about methodology. The draft helps with the comments, have to adjust forecasts for the counties and for subregion and region to make sure we have a good approach to the forecast. Over the life of this SED forecast development, we had 7 forecast working group meetings, and meeting number 7, August 19, we reached an agreement among the forecast working group members on the draft population and employment forecast, which we are presenting to you today. Once we reached that agreement, we had a public review period over the month of September. We presented 2 public meetings. We present actually the same presentation which we are looking at today. After the public review period completed, we received 2 public comments. It was actually like encouraging and positive reply to the work we've done, and also some suggestions on the possible future transportation developments. And today, we are presenting this draft 2055 SED forecast to the NYMTC Program Finance and Administration Committee for the adoption. A few words about the outputs of the 2055 SED forecast. The population projections in this forecast are lower than previous round of NYMTC projections, reflecting declining birth rate in recent years. Regional population and employment will continue to grow, but slow slightly over time. This forecast assumes some revision to balance regional growth versus last 10 years of centralization. And in our region, in both New York City and regional forecasts are influenced by the growth constraint. Larger shares of New York City jobs are filled by the commuters due to population constraint in the city. Because of that, the population growth in the surrounding region, as New Jersey and Mid-Hudson Valley, mostly depends on the city labor force demand. So people live in the surrounding counties and subregion and work in the city. In long-term counties in Long Island, will experience steady rising job growth through 2055, which is supported by transportation investments in the subregion. This forecast we began developing 2 years ago. Just a few points regarding the COVID-19. So primary purpose of this forecast is to provide a long-term outlook. Because the forecast we began developing 2 years ago, and also we don't have enough concrete data and information of the long-term effects of the COVID-19 pandemic and the shock. We couldn't do a lot of adjustments to this forecast. The future forecast, which we will be working on, will incorporate data that captures the impact of the public health emergency on regional employment and population trends. What we did do for this set of forecasts, the employment forecasts were locked in the near term to acknowledge the economic slowdown which is caused by the pandemic. And at this point, I will ask Tina Lund from Urbanomics to present to you 2055 SED forecast in more details. Tina, please.
Thank you, Larisa, and thank you everyone for joining us this morning. I'm going to show you a lot of large tables, but I'm really going to stick to the highlights, so don't worry, we won't get bogged down in fantastic amounts of detail. So the regional employment is forecasted to increase by 1.8 million to 13.8 million by 2055 in the 2055 SED forecast. There is a level of inconsistency in growth, largely due to the pandemic. As you see here below, from 2015 to 2020, growth is quite strong at 3.5%. Growth in the 2020 to 2025 period reflects the beginning of the rebound after, hopefully, the pandemic is dealt with at 1.9%. And then 2025 to 2030 has growth that's more robust. It's kind of the slingshot of recovery, and after which time growth slows back down to a more uniform level through the 2055 period at roughly 2% per segment. How does the 2055 SED forecast of employment compare to the 2050? Here you can see the 2050 SED is in the orange, the 2055 is in the blue. It is higher than previously forecast by just a small amount, but does follow that same even trajectory out. For New York City, the forecast is higher than the 2050 SED with job growth of 900,000 jobs from 2017 to 2055. What's notable in the New York City forecast is that there's greater job growth in the outer boroughs, in particular Kings and Queens counties, versus the previous set of forecasts. In Long Island, employment increases to 1.5 million by 2055. Stronger growth in Nassau than previously forecast, but slightly slower growth in Suffolk. In the Mid-Hudson subregion, we're forecasting 120,000 new jobs between 2017 and 2055. Lower growth than in the 2050 SED, and that's very much influenced by the number of office parks that are being converted to residential, Indian Point closing, that sort of thing. In New Jersey, the subregion is looking to gain 500,000 jobs in the forecast period. It's lower growth than previously forecast in each of the counties with the exception of Hudson, which shows more robust growth. And this is more detail on the other half of New Jersey. And Connecticut employment growth will reach 1.13 million. It's roughly an increase of 36,000 jobs as growth is relatively stagnant in current conditions. And it's definitely a lower forecast than the 2050 SED. So employment projection key takeaways. Regional employment is expected to grow at an annual average rate of 0.46% per year throughout the forecast period. New York City maintains the largest share of employment at 43.5% by 2055. Through 2055, both Nassau and Suffolk are anticipated to experience steadily rising job growth, and that's largely supported by the infrastructure investments that have been made recently. In the Mid-Hudson subregion, Westchester County shows the greatest growth, adding roughly 49,000 jobs from 2017 to 2055. And the 2055 SED forecast for New Jersey projects growth to be strongest over the 5-year recovery period, the near-term recovery period of 2020 to 2025. Moving on to population. Regional population will grow to 25.8 million by 2055. This is actually slower than the lower population growth rate than the previous forecasts, as you can see in this chart. It's a difference of about 700,000 people in 2050, which was the last forecast year of the 2055 forecast. And the decrease is uniform across the board with the exception of New York City, which shows greater population growth than previously forecast, as some previously issued constraints were lifted by New York City DCP. And you can see that here, New York City growing to 9.5 million by 2055, with growth in every single, greater growth in every single borough versus the 2050 SED. Long Island, the population is expected to increase by 400,000 in the forecast period, with actually less growth than previously forecast. Largely due to declining birth rates and high housing costs. In Mid-Hudson, regional growth is forecast to increase by 300,000 people, with most of the new growth being shown in Orange and Rockland counties, as as opposed to Westchester, for example, which is largely built out. And really the growth in Mid-Hudson is coming from commuters attracted to jobs in the city as opposed to natural increase. So it's almost entirely labor-induced migration that is causing population growth in the Mid-Hudson. For New Jersey, population is expected to increase by 1.2 million in the forecast period. There's significant growth in Bergen and Hudson counties, which are forecast to exceed levels from the 2050 SED. Each of the other New Jersey counties, while growing, are forecast to grow more slowly than the 2050 SED had predicted. And Connecticut, again, will gain some new residents, about 150,000. But all of the growth will happen in Fairfield and New Haven counties, as Litchfield is actually expected to continue to lose population. And then the population projections key takeaways. So in the 2055 SED forecast, New York City is the only subregion expected to demonstrate higher population growth than previously forecasted. Long Island's growth is slower in the near term due to an aging population and a slowed economy due to the pandemic. The Mid-Hudson subregion will experience growth, but mainly due to new workers attracted to the region. New Jersey will see an annual average increase in population of 0.4%, with population growth centered around the recent development areas in Hudson and Bergen counties. And Connecticut shows very limited growth in the forecast period, while Litchfield County in particular, the population continues to decrease, as has been the case in the recent past. And with that, we'll open it up to questions and comments. Thank you.
Okay, so do we have any members who would like to ask the presenters questions? I know that's not a shy crew. I guess hearing none, I want to thank you, all of you, for presenting this information. It certainly gives us a little bit to think about as we move forward in developing our programs and projects and forecasts. So excellent work, and thank you so much for your efforts on this. So I guess that brings us now to the public participation portion of the meeting. I guess what I will ask is, do we have anybody who's registered?
Yes, we do. It's Mary Bowden.
Okay, Mr. Bowden, I think you know the rules here. We would like you to limit your comments. Please make sure that they're relevant to transportation and or transportation planning. And we've allotted 3 minutes so that we can hear from as many individuals as possible. So, Mr. Bowden, I hope you're doing well. Please unmute Mr. Bowden.
Can anybody hear me?
I can hear you, Murray.
How you doing? The comments that came out the other day, deleting the buses, 78 buses for Westchester and adding 5 electric buses, were incredibly important. And relative to that, last night at the Greenberg Planning Council, they presented a proposal for adding Tesla batteries to be able to power 5,000 homes. What we're seeing in Angela Merkel of Germany a month or 2 ago said that they will give a bonus to anybody buying an electric car. In Germany, raising internal combustion engines. The internal combustion engine is about finished. There won't be any more. Everything is going to be run by electric engines in one way or another. And it all has to do with global warming and the fact that we are not going to have any more power generated by fossil fuels. And we're in a transition period. It's been very difficult, and I'm having a very difficult time with DOT because they're using I've been involved with road lines and outdated lines, and I can't get anybody to listen. We moved into a new world. It's not the world of a year ago. I cannot get anybody in DOT to correct illegal road lines. I've sent pictures out. I work with the Thruway because they say it's DOT's exit. DOT says, we're right, but they're wrong. I emailed Joan this morning. She's the operations director for Westchester County, and she used to be a DOT commissioner, showing an exit at Chappaqua where the lines are wrong, where there's a island in the middle with a signpost in it, and you can't cross it on a paved surface. The line's yellow. Everything I hear from DOT says, we don't care. We'll do what we want. I know you're a long time, Ron. I missed the beginning of it because I had no sound until about 5 minutes ago because I'm listening on my phone. I didn't even know if this would work. But let me tell you, this is not the world of 5 years ago or even a year ago. I'm 87. I'll be out of this real soon. I won't live to see the results of the suggestions I make. I'll be dead relatively soon. This is a world you're creating for my grandchildren and your grandchildren. The lines DOT uses were designed 50 years ago. I was there. I've read every manual in its original form in Washington. Not too many people can say that. Ron, I remember having a discussion with you some years ago about what's going on. You probably forgot. I didn't. Well, gentlemen, ladies, people listening to this conversation, ball's in your court. I present the evidence that the things that you're proposing across the board need to be updated. And what's so significant is the start by stopping the diesel electric buses for Westchester and adding 5 buses, all electric, for Suffolk. It's a start. Yes, we're going to make a lot of mistakes. And yes, a lot of people are going to have to change their jobs. I thank you for the opportunity. I wish I could see everything that's going on there and hear it better. I'm kind of new with this WebEx stuff. I had a lot of trouble getting in. But I've worked with a lot of people in New York State DOT. Excellent people, really concerning people. And I thank them for all that they've taught me. I could not do this by myself. I've been taught by a lot of people all over, and I thank them. And I thank you all for this opportunity to speak with you today. You can cut me off now.
Thank you, Murray. And I'm going to put money on you're going to be around longer than I will, so I got money on you. Do we have any other speakers in the queue?
No, we do not.
Okay. Shall we move on to the next agenda item then, I guess? So the next item relates to the accepting the 2017-2020 meeting synopsis. So they have been posted to NYMTC's website. So our first action of the day, I guess, is that I'm requesting that we have a motion to accept these meeting synopsis notes.
So moved. Anne McGrain, New York City Department of Transportation.
Second?
Second, Naomi Klein, Westchester County.
Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, I guess we'll do a roll call. We'll start with the Lower Hudson Valley. Putnam.
Aye.
Rockland.
Aye.
Westchester.
Aye.
On Long Island. Nassau.
Aye.
Suffolk.
Aye.
Aye. New York City. New York City DOT.
Aye.
DCP.
Aye.
MTA.
Aye.
And on behalf of DOT, aye. So thank you. The motion passes. Our next order of business is to adopt resolution number 509, adoption of Horizon Year 2055 Socio-Economic and Demographic Forecasts. I will ask Larisa to introduce this resolution.
Yes, hi, thank you, Ron. The purpose of the resolution number 509 is to adopt the 2055 SED forecast that we just presented to the committee today. This new forecast, once they adopted, will be used for all of NYMTC required planning products and analysis. I want to thank the PFAC members, forecast working group members, project team consisting of WSP, Urbanomics, and New York City Department of City Planning for their support and efforts in developing of the 2055 SED forecast. NYMTC staff requesting that you adopt this resolution, the adoption of the 2055 SED forecast.
Thank you. So having introduced the motion, is there a can somebody make a motion to adopt?
So moved. Jack Schmidt, New York City Department of City Planning.
Thank you, Jack. Second?
Second, Rockland County.
Okay, thank you. But is there any discussion? Okay, so we'll proceed next with the roll call. Again, starting again with the Hudson Valley. Putnam.
Aye.
Rockland.
Aye.
Westchester.
Aye.
Moving to Long Island. Nassau.
Aye.
Suffolk.
Aye.
In the city, New York City. DOT.
Aye.
City DCP.
Aye.
MTA.
Aye.
And on behalf of the department, aye. So thank you. That motion passes as well. So the next, we're going to discuss adopting Resolution 510, which is adoption of the Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality Performance Plan. Jad Khan, will you please introduce the resolution?
Thank you very much, Chairman and PFAC members. Can you hear me? You're hearing me?
Yeah. No.
Okay, great. Just a quick background. The CMAQ Performance Plan responds to the federal requirements for transportation performance management. And it includes at least 3 performance measures, which are the annual peak hours of excessive delay, the percent of non-single occupied vehicular non-SOV travel, and total emissions reductions for both the NYMTC planning area and the urbanized area in which NYMTC is. The first plan was adopted by the Council in September 2018, and by federal requirements, we are required to update this plan so that it could be submitted with the state's mid-performance report on transportation performance management. So this is an update on the 2018 plan. As I said, it was updated. The original plan was September 2018. So in 2020, we needed to update the CMAQ performance plan. The purpose of today's resolution is twofold. One is to adopt this new plan or the revised plan. And secondly, to ask PFAC to submit this plan to state DOT so that it can accompany their mid-performance report. With that in mind, Chairman and members, we are asking the PFAC to adopt resolution number 510 so that these 2 actions could occur.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to adopt resolution 510?
So moved. John Sally, Nassau County.
Thank you. Second.
Second, Naomi Klein, Westchester County.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to the roll call. Going to mix it up a little bit. Starting with New York City. New York City DOT.
Aye.
New York City DCP.
Aye.
MTA.
Aye.
On the island, Nassau.
Aye.
Suffolk.
Aye.
Hudson Valley, Westchester.
Aye.
Rockland.
Aye.
Putnam.
Aye.
And on behalf of the department, aye. Thank you. This motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. And the final action that we will look at is adoption of resolution number 511, to amend the state fiscal year 2020, the 2021 Unified Planning Work Program. And I would like say to Alan to introduce this resolution, please.
Hi, good afternoon. This resolution, New York City Department of Transportation is requesting to reprogram unspent funds from prior program years to 3 of their discretionary studies in this year's UPWP. None of these actions require new funds. NYMTC staff request that you adopt this resolution.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to adopt resolution number 511?
So moved. Anne McGrain, New York City DOT.
Thank you. Second?
Second, Chris Chatterton, Suffolk County.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Okay, proceeding to the roll call. Westchester.
Aye.
Rockland.
Aye.
Putnam.
Aye.
Nassau.
Aye.
Suffolk.
Aye.
New York City. DOT.
Aye.
City DCT.
Aye.
MTA.
Aye.
And on behalf of the department, aye. The motion passes. Thank you. So I guess this brings us on to the confirmation of our next PFAC meeting. And actually, Jerry, before we proceed any further, have I missed anything? Because as far as I see, we've actually made very good time here today.
Ron, we're in good shape. I think you're doing great. So
okay, I didn't know if I was missing a page or two because we are cruising along.
you forgot the salary increases for the staff, but that's okay.
Oh, okay. That will be addressed actually at our next PFAC meeting, which is a nice segue. Thank you, Jerry. Which is scheduled to take place on Thursday, December 17th, 2020. So please mark your calendars for that. And I assume, given the circumstances, that will also be a virtual meeting at this point in time. So with that, I'd like to make a motion, unless there's any new business, to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second, Sandra Fusco, Putnam County.
Actually, I should have asked for Sandra. You are the motion. I apologize. Can I have a second to Sandra?
Second, Chris Chatterton, Suffolk County.
Thank you. I was kind of worried that people want to keep this going for a while. I mean, you know, we have time, I guess, but virtual lunches don't taste very well. So with that, I guess what I would do is I'll call the roll. Putnam.
Aye.
Rockland.
Aye.
Westchester.
Aye.
Nassau.
Aye.
Suffolk.
Aye.
City DOT.
Aye.
PPP.
Aye.
MTA.
Aye.
And on behalf of the department, it's an aye. I guess that means our meeting is adjourned. I want to thank everybody, and I hope everybody remains safe and well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
Take care.
Thanks, Ron.
Bye.
Bye, all.
Thank you. Have a good one, everyone.
All right, Fidel, bye-bye.